What's going on, guys? Hope you're well, and welcome to another video. This is actually the first time that I've done a voiceover on a back workout. Also, Merry Christmas. And also, this video actually marks 6 months straight of me doing 2 videos per week, which was a huge goal for me when I started or returned to the YouTube channel. And that's going to be a goal for me going into the new year. So I think more so because I can control that. I can control how many videos I upload. I can't really control the amount of subscribers. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, I'm actually going to talk about the workout today and not too much of like a general conversation. And I think when it comes to bodybuilding, I think having an impressive back is something that makes you really stand out. I think most bodybuilders who are decent have a good set of arms. They have a good they have a good chest. Do you know what I mean? But I think if you have a really good back that stands out, I really think that's going to make you stand out on stage. It's the same with legs as well. Like those two body parts they just make such a big difference. So every back day I start off with a single arm lat pull down. Reason I like this one is because the D handle kind of allows a little bit more free motion rather than like a machine. The hammer strength pull down is pretty decent, but again, it's pretty limited because you're almost in a fixed position, whereas a D handle, it's just a little bit more freedom, which I like. And there's been kind of a bit of a trend with the lat pull down where you're not really extending as much, and I can understand the premise behind it, but I don't think it's possible for you to completely isolate the lat, especially like because there's just so much going on around that shoulder joint. And if I can include muscles like teres major and a little bit of trap, and I think that's absolutely fine. So I am trying to get as much of a stretch as possible. You're watching the last set that I done here. I done 3 sets. On the last set, I done basically like a 2 second hold at the top, 2 second stretch, and then just drove down. And the goal is just to drive down towards the hip. So started off with a lat pull down, single arm, because it just feels a lot better than double arm for me. And then I would typically do a bent over row, but no platform because the gym was actually pretty busy, surprisingly. But I had to go onto the DY row, which is an amazing movement. The path or the kind of like the motion of the machine is perfect for those lower lats. You start off high and it literally drives down right into your hip, so it's perfect. And then with this, I'm just thinking about keeping the elbow as close to my torso as possible, just drive down to the hip. And then you'll also notice with my setup, so I'm using my other arm to stabilize myself, and when the angle changes, you'll see with my feet, they're set up in a way that actually allows me to stay solid and in place. I think if your feet are a little bit all over the place and you're sliding around and you just feel unstable, you're not going to be able to produce as much force. So you'll see my right leg when I'm working on my right arm is forward, my left leg is back, then I'm using my left hand to like pull onto the machine so I feel rock solid, and then just driving down. Obviously you've probably, if you're watching this video, you've probably heard this before as well, but I'm not letting the elbow go past the spine. Like you'll feel a hard contraction as soon as you line up with the spine. You'll feel a hard contraction in the lat, and then you don't really need to go further than that. You're pretty much on the money there. So this is a great movement. I just done 3 sets each side. My lat volume has recently been increased because that's a body part that I'm looking to really bring up. My lats are weaker than my traps. I'm very like from the back, I'm very upper back, trap, rhomboid, rear delt heavy, and my lats need a little bit more work. So more volume towards the lats. I then moved on to my almost like lower back loaded movement. And with the bent over row, I'm not really trying to specifically target any muscle. I just want to hold weight, heavy weight, lean forward and pull. So that's going to hit literally my erectors, my lats, my traps, rear delts, everything, that whole posterior chain right down to my hip. And then I also only have 2 sets on this. The first set is almost a little bit more bro-y. Like I just want to put a lot of weight on the bar and just move it. And then the second set is a little bit more controlled, a little bit more, damn, there she is, look at that. She looks good. This was also the day that Bryony hit a 60 kg bench, which is amazing. What a year Bryony's had, huh? She's sitting right next to me right now. There we go. Yeah. She hit a 60 kg bench for 2 reps, not even 1 rep. And if you'd seen how 60 kg moved just a few months ago, it's pretty unbelievable. So she was trying to get in the way of the row, trying to give a tutorial on the RDL. But anyway, got to the second set, 105 kilos for double-digit reps. I believe that was 13. And this, you can see, it's just a little bit more strict. Like, it's a little bit more controlled in comparison to the 140 kilos. And that's just the way that I like to do it, to be honest with you. And then we moved on to the next upper back movement, which is, again, hammer strength. Gaines Gym is loaded with hammer strength kit. And I'm not mad at it. This is actually a really good piece of kit. And the objective of this, I have my feet behind me because then that means that I stay in the pad. If you put your feet in front of you, as you pull back, you're probably going to bring your chest off of the pad too much. Whereas if your feet are behind you, you're almost putting yourself against the pad. That's what we want. And then I'm going to let my arms come forward and protract my shoulder blades as much as possible. Come back and squeeze hard, retract the shoulder blades. Simple as that. And then when you're working your upper back, your elbows can actually move past the spine now, because I'm almost imagining I'm trying to squeeze something between my scapula. So yeah, this is a great movement. Just 2 sets on this one. You can see that the volume's a little bit lower for my upper back because it's already stronger than my lats. So I don't want to create even more of an imbalance. And you'll kind of see here, just from the side angle, really getting a nice stretch and then just driving upwards. But yeah, this is a great bit of kit. And then after this, I think that's pretty much it in terms of the big rows. And then we move on to a pullover and then bicep work to finish. This session, I actually really enjoyed this session. It's actually probably my favorite one of the week. And I'm really enjoying the bent over row. It's been a while since I've done a movement like that. Like, I feel like I kind of got caught up a little bit in the optimal crowd, and I don't know, I miss doing those sorts of movements. And when I was in a prep, it wasn't really the best time for me to start that because I was just extremely brittle and frail from obviously not having as much body weight or as much body fat on me. So this off season, I'm really focusing on kind of bread and butter movements because they just work. And if you have a sensible approach to them, you're just not going to get hurt. You just have to just take your time with progressions. And yeah, anyway, went on to the lat pullover. And I actually normally like using the EZ bar because it feels a little bit more comfortable on the wrists, but this was all good. I just do 1 set on this, and it was actually a drop set. I sometimes do a drop set, I sometimes do a rest pause. Today I felt like doing a drop set. And then what I also do with this as well is get a nasty stretch kind of between the initial set and the drop, and also at the end as well. And the burn is crazy. I'm more so, rather than load on this movement, I am really conscious of like a mind-muscle connection. I just want this to feel really good on the lats. That's pretty much it. And it feels really heavy in the stretch, then it kind of drops off at the bottom. And this is where you actually want to place a movement like that. Like, you're going to be quite weak getting the lat short at this point. Like, I've gone through rows, I've done a bent over row, I've done hammer strength, chest supported rows. My lats are going to be pretty weak at this point, but I'm still going to have quite a lot of strength in the lengthened range, if that makes sense. And then it just drops off a bit in the short. So yeah, you can see here at the end, I just do a stretch. And obviously there's a lot of talk at the minute on kind of getting a stretch in the lengthened range and under load, which is funny because that information's been around for a very, very long time. People obviously like Dante Trudell and Jordan Peters, etc., have been talking about that for years. But I think there's been a lot of research on it and about kind of length and partials and stretches and whatnot. And it works. So yeah, that's why I done a stretch. Moved on to rear delts. I'm going to give a shout out to my client Martin, who actually inspired me to do this setup with the cuffs. It just feels so much better. It feels so much better on cables as well. I feel like I can never really get a great connection on the reverse pec deck. It just doesn't feel as good. And again, I think the reason being is I can kind of just put my hands in the position that I want them to be in. I'm not fixed onto a machine. So give that a go if you have cuffs. It genuinely feels great. And then the angle, I almost go at a 45-degree angle and then move just down slightly. So not completely down, but like in that midway point. And then finally onto biceps. And I'm currently just doing 2 bicep exercises at the minute. I just do dumbbell curls to start. So we're obviously gonna feel a lot of that weight in that mid range of the movement. There's not really any load being applied at the bottom. And then with this, I kind of set it up so I'll start off by doing 2 hands, and then as I fatigue doing 2 hands at the same time, I'll just alternate. And then once that gets tiring, I'll start to do little partials. 3 sets of that, and then essentially just to then work them in the lengthened range, I do a kind of like a drag curl on the cables, so really heavy at the bottom and drops off at the top. And that is basically it. That's my back workout, and this is the back workout that I'll be probably doing for many months to try and bring up my back. I feel like I've only just recovered from prep, but as of recent weeks, I can visibly see that I'm getting a little bit kind of thicker and feeling stronger, and body weight is moving in the right direction. So I think I'm now finally in a position to actually grow, so other than that, guys, hope you have a great Christmas. As always, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.